Welcome back, everyone, to DBDLeague Season 9, Week 8. And we have a new caster here on the desk. We just had the good old memories with the founder, Willie Awesome, and now we are looking into the future of DBDL with Rayoxium herself. Welcome in.
Hello, everybody. I'm glad to be back for Week 8 of some more games. Today, I will be casting Ariandel versus Trauma, a matchup of teams that I actually haven't had the pleasure of casting very much so far, so I haven't really been paying attention to these teams, so I'm very excited to see what kind of matches they have for us in store today. Dyer, what are we looking at?
We are looking for the Russian showdown, we could say, Trauma and Ariandel. Both of them sitting at the playoffs at the moment is important to add here, because they are in the 3rd and the 4th spot. So it's a direct matchup between these two, and it's important for them to put up a good show here, because Ariandel, they do not have a match in Week 9, so because Tremor is no longer with us, so Tremor will be an instant 2-0 win for Ariandel there. So Ariandel is really fine. They can just collect, or need to make sure that they are collecting some good performances, that they collect some set wins here to just make it through. But Trauma is the one that really needs to watch out here, because Calamity, after the 2-0 win, is definitely hunting them down. So Trauma wants to set themselves in the best possible spot here and needs to win today. That is basically what Trauma needs to achieve against Ariandel, and Ariandel has shown us with the wins against Eternal, for example, that this is not really an easy task. For the killers, Ray, we are starting off with the Plague, my absolute favorite killer in comp. But since I'm not you, I will not hold a 10-minute speech about my favorite killer. So what do you think about the Plague in comp DVD?
I mean, you could go off. I won't stop you. You know, it's very nice to let people talk about the things they like, Dyer. So I think Plague, is she on Suffocation Pit?
Yes.
Yes. A very, very classic map for Plague. I'm pretty excited, as that is our first matchup. Like you said, Ariandel versus Trauma. This is a very, very tight matchup we have, and both teams really want to take their wins, but Trauma wants to take it just a little bit more. Plague being played on a bone-shaped map, a little bit of a split, so she is very, very good at controlling one side of the map, and we're definitely going to have to see the teams push and play into that sort of play style for us. Trauma did pick Plague, so they will be killing first for us against Ariandel. So we are going to have to see a little bit of back and forth, a lot of macro. That's usually what bone-shaped map killers tend to be. And what is your favorite part about watching these Plague matches?
For me, it is the perfect mix of a killer that is forcing mechanics. At the very beginning, you are having the classic mind games when you're trying to prevent them from getting the infection on you. Later on, you have very high and intense mind games, because most of the survivors are broken, so you don't have one tag for free making it somewhere. You need to be really careful. And then on top of that comes this insane tactical aspect. When do we cleanse? Do we even cleanse at all? Do we go into a corner for that? And this perfect mix of gameplay and strategy is what I really love. I know that the founder, Willie Awesome, hates the Plague in comp. This was where we were always on completely two different stances, but I just love the Plague so much. And therefore, I also don't have a favorite team here, to be honest, because the Russian teams are known for their insane planning and their insane strategy together. So the Plague game will be really, really insane together. And then, huge surprise for me, Ray, Dredge, that people still let Babbo pick the Dredge. I don't understand it. He's slandering everyone.
And you do love Babbo on the Dredge. I remember talking about this with you before. Can you tell us a little bit about what you're looking forward to?
This is, I don't know. Maybe teams are slowly picking up on the Dredge, and they say, well, we need to make sure that it's no longer an outstanding advantage to Ariandel, and that's why they are picking it. But yeah, I really hope that Trauma was aware what they are doing there. And then Demogorgon for the final set. Demogorgon is very great killer on ARP as well. So a similar shape as the Suffocation Pit. You do have this bottleneck shape. You have this upper and lower half of the map. The killer is really able to trap the survivor team in worst case in one of the 3 gens and constantly getting the stages there. Of course, it's a lot weaker, the Demogorgon, as the more classic M1 killer almost. But on ARP, with our balance restrictions that the rule committee has cooked for Season 9, it is always such a pleasure to watch it.
And we have been seeing a lot of Demogorgon sets as well, surprisingly, with that strict balancing, like you said. I'm actually just incredibly surprised at like a lot of these picks. We've been seeing a lot of Dredge this season too.
Dredge is becoming an absolute famous killer in comp, yeah. Maybe this is why we don't see it being banned against Babbo, because teams are like, let's practice it in the real environment against the one and only and get our hands onto that killer. But I agree with you. Dredge is absolutely insane there. Asking you though, besides Dredge, an unpopular killer that is now really shining in comp, I'm not Ghostface. We know that you love Ghostface, but what other killer would you really love to see more in competitive DBD getting a little bit of a hype?
Well, you know, there is one killer that I especially enjoy playing and watching that is not even included in this season. It's probably a little bit of Huntress. I love watching her. I love playing her. She can make out for some really cool, fun matches. Her power does kind of limit her during the mid-game to camping, but my God, the first chases and the first downs, and also how teams play the 3v1 are so exciting to me. And I'd love to see that in next season. Hint, hint, nod, nod. But I don't know if you were also hinting at the fact that I have never had the chance during the season to actually cast a Spirit game. I love watching Spirit games. I also love casting it because, you know, it's not a surprise. I play her as well. So I'd love to be able to do that next time. Hopefully we'll have to see whatever happens with that. I actually am also a big fan of watching the killers that everybody just stays away from in comp, like Skull Merchant maybe. I would love to see comp teams play in a Skull Merchant match. I want to see it, man. I just want to see teams suffer. I don't know.
Huntress, definitely a great killer. In the winter circuit, we tried something really wild with the Huntress because these off-season events are sometimes a little bit of an experimental environment. Yeah, and we had her on Larry's forced with the one-hit hatchet. That was definitely an adventure, and I'm pretty sure she will make a comeback into the next pool. She's definitely missing there. And if not, we just take the Trickster instead.
Oh my God, no. Okay, I won't say that one.
if someone, then it will be the Huntress. Yeah. We're setting up the game in the background, so it's time slowly to go into the predictions. Ray, when you're looking at it, Team Ariandel has beaten Eternal even. Team Ariandel has taken insane matches. They also won against Calamity, the team that just dominated Sinners. On the other hand, Trauma, players that are around in Comp DBD for 4+ years, coming back for Season 9, playing great matches, being there close to the playoffs. Who do you think is going to take it?
Well, I mean, the way you put it, it does seem like Ariandel might have a slight upper hand, but these are also teams from the same region. And I gotta tell you, whenever I see teams that are playing from the same region, they tend to have the same sort of play styles and the same ideals. So I think this is a perfect matchup for us to cast today, because maybe they'll have some good back and forths. Maybe we'll see teams take each other's sets and we'll get to the Demogorgon tiebreaker. I'm not leaning forward to either side. Like I said, also, I haven't been able to actually cast Ariandel versus Trauma team games. So I really don't know which one that I would put over the other, but I do believe that you're leaning a little bit more towards Ariandel.
Yeah, I'm not sure, Ray.
Yeah, I'm not sure either. Quit asking me this. You ask me it every time.
Yeah, of course I'm asking you first because I'm as unsure as you are. And if you would decide, then I can at least say, oh, I'll go with the opposite. Yeah.
All right,
Let's say,
what? I'll support
it
trauma
will...
today.
Okay, thank you for making a decision because of course it will not be trauma. What are you talking about? It will be Ariandel. It's so obvious when you look at the stats. So yeah, I will go with Ariandel then, just for the beef on the caster desk. We seem to have some troubles in the background with the killer net or the lobby, not entirely sure. Earlier today, we had a problem with the Discord server as well. Our players are in group chats today with our staff members. While we are looking into that, and while we are delaying it a little bit, I actually have a little list that I wanted to talk about here today on the anniversary stream. And I'll just do that now because we do have the time right now. I am well aware that this list does not include everyone that deserves a shout out and does not deserve the correct words for everyone who would deserve it. But unfortunately, on a day like this, you have limited time. And so let me first of all say thank you to everyone on the team. Whenever you see them, please be kind to everyone who's involved with DBDL because these people are really sacrificing their hearts, their energies, and so much for making it possible. So to the whole team in the background, an absolute huge thank you. The first person I have on this list is producing today. It is Rats. And I noted some things about Rats that I wanted to share today on the 6th anniversary. Rats and me are actually familiar with each other and friends for quite some years now. We have not met recently at all. We were our paths crossed back then in the Wolfpack years ago when Rats was interested in competitive DBD and joined the community. And he said, I want to get deeper involved into comp. And since then, Rats has been an uncomparable example of dedication for the game, dedication for comp, and in terms of DBDL for making it the best thing. Something like locking the perks, a new mechanism in the rules, is an idea that started with Rats. Having the picks and bans being optimized by swapping the sets and letting the loser of the coin flip decide at least if they want to go tiebreaker first or second is something that started with Rats. And it might sound very little and you might say, yeah, okay, the winner of the coin flip is now deciding that they can play, but that's not it, because if you are the basic rules of comp were set and we are playing with the basic rules for a lot of years now. So someone who is taking a rule set that is established for 2 or 3 years and saying there is still a niche where we can improve a little bit and there's still a niche where we can make it a little bit more fair. This is something that you need. And this is something Rats has been for a long time. And very quickly in the Wolfpack back then, he was not someone who was learning the game. He was very fast someone who was teaching the game with absolute passion as well. He was leading us in our team in Golden Wolves back then. He had the best strategies, the best ideas. And I grew a lot meeting Rats and knowing Rats. And I'm very glad, even though we went different ways in the comp scene as players, with me going on to Cold and then stopping eventually, and Rats founding Night Owls and going his way there. Even though this was split, we are always coming together in DBDL and still sharing our way together. So as one of the people I have that need a very, very special message today, it is Rats who's producing. And I plan to talk a lot less about the people and because but we're loading in, so the other people have to wait until they get their deserved compliment for today. Of course, Ray will get none of them.
What?
But yeah, so rats, I know you hear me because you're producing. Yeah, thank you so much for everything you have done for DBDL. We're loading in. First trial is ahead of us. We are going to see the suffocation pit and the plague, and we're looking forward to it.
Yes, we are. I know you're looking forward to it way more than I am, but, you know, I'll pretend to like it just as much as you for the sake of casting. We have Whizzle already playing on Plague, puking up on all of these generators on this side. We have a 4-gen bottom. We actually don't have a very, very good split. These generators are kind of further away. This one, even right here, is pretty close to being at this top side, I believe is what everybody else calls it. Whizzle is actually going to venture in really, really early to try to catch somebody off guard, and they do find someone. They've all got on the trail of some scratch marks, already running around Water Tower, trying to waste as much time, because this is kind of an early find, especially since those gens have already been puked on.
And it serves as an information tool when you're able to puke onto the generators, but it also makes it possible that the survivors are staying broken for a long time. And for that, we're also bringing the Thanatophobia here, trying to get the 4 survivors injured and broken as quick as we can. Therefore, Whizzle not taking the chase in the corrupt area, immediately going down towards the bottom side. Trauma is taking a very, very chill and careful approach here. They are not working on the gens just yet. They don't want to allow the infection early on. Babbo will progress into the broken status effect. The survivor team still, regardless of Babbo already being puked on, showing an absolute patience here, which is showing me the experience that the Trauma survivor team has, Ariandel survivor team has on their side. So absolutely good to see that. Whizzle, killer of Team Trauma, going back towards the top side here, trying once more to find someone. Now we see that Hardwell is getting infected. So now, Ray, it seems like the game is starting on the survivor side as well.
Ooh, and that is looking a little bit dangerous as well, because Whizzle will be picking up the corrupt purge and does spot Arima, who is sitting here in the mid side of the map, probably trying to cross, but gets caught. Will Whizzle be able to find them at this 4 lane? Looks like he's got the stealth tactics, actually just ran. Whizzle didn't even know, so they crossed, and Whizzle actually grabbed the corrupt purge as well. So now they're trying desperately to find someone to actually get a hit with this power. Nia is coughing, will be heard if Whizzle gets close enough, but we don't find them. These survivors are playing the stealth game, and they're playing it very well, except Hardwell is coughing a whole bunch and will be making their presence known at Shack. Whizzle hears, I believe Whizzle does. We still have corrupt, but for how much longer? It's probably not too much. We don't have add-ons for it. Oh, goes for a puke and hits it over there. And Hardwell doesn't make that much distance, doesn't proc balance landing, whether on purpose or not. Tries to go for a puke. I'm sure that Whizzle is expecting some sort of exhaustion perk. Tries to go for another puke, but doesn't make it. Do we still have our power? I don't think we do. It's been so long. Are we going to be able to get this down early? The survivors do not have that much generator progress. They do have a little bit, but for how long this game has been going on for, it is not too much to speak of.
Indeed, yeah, the time factor will become really, really pressuring here, and it's going to be Hardwell who's trying to vault the pallet, but it's not going to be in time, so the first down is coming through. Arima and Xi still not infected, so Ariandel is finding a really, really good way of playing not only around the pressure that Whizzle is trying to put up, but also so far really playing around the Thanatophobia, because with only 2 broken survivors, the impact is much less punishing as you would think. We are going down, setting up ourselves on the bottom part of the suffocation pit. The agitation really setting, and even without the body block, Whizzle too greedy on that hook stage, and that might come out really, really punishing here, because we have the access towards that midsection. We do have the filler pallet here in this tile, so this was not what we are trying to achieve here. And also, even if Nia dies very soon, we are no longer in the area that Whizzle wanted to hook in.
There was not a perfectly placed hook that Whizzle wanted, trying to get a little bit further down into the 4-gen side of the map. But now going down over here on the side where they've already done some generators and they have a healthy amount of progress on the other side, that is just spelling bad news for them because they needed to get that hook, especially on this generator that has so much progress. We do somewhat make it down to this side because of agitation, and Excise gets pushed off of that generator that is about 90%. Another generator gets done on the other side, but we still have this 4-gen. However, we did see Arima working on the generator that is furthest away from us, but that is still, this is still a 4-gen, so even if they get that one done, it will still be a 3-gen on this side, even if they complete this one, this 4-gen side. We go and we puke on this generator to try to get Arima from it. Oh, it doesn't actually get that puke. We're going to kick this as well, place a little bit of eruption on it, meaning the next time we down a survivor, that will blow that one up. But this generator over here has a lot of progress as well. The survivors can play really aggressive, especially because there's 4 of them alive. We only have 1 hook stage that's come through. Kicking this as well, applying eruption. We need to get it down really fast to even get it to proc, but the teams are playing so safe. We do have Sprint Burst on David. It is not fully charged up yet, but he's just trying to play aggressive to bring the plague away from the generators that have progress.
Yeah, what you mentioned was really important. Both teams are playing super safe. The survivor team here as well. They are only allowing now that the 4th survivor is going into the infection. So Thanatophobia in a few moments will be fully shine here. But this safety that we see on the survivor side at the moment is exactly why being too greedy on that hook earlier is so punishing for Whistle, because he made a mistake, but the survivor team does not allow him so far to recover from it. And we can see why he wanted to hook there on the bottom side. We have this 1 generator over here, but we do have this wonderful 3-gen on the bottom side, might even be considered a 4-gen by some people, since we have here on the bottom left side, looking from the killer POV, a very, very tight setup as well. And this is exactly why he wanted to put it here. And you could say, yeah, okay, he doesn't get the hook stage, then he will get it down anytime soon, but he didn't, because of the safety of the survivor team. And this is why his mistake is absolutely being punished here. Babbo is not going down, takes turn after turn, and is going to stay the dominant factor in this mind game, winning this one, dropping the pallet, getting some distance. Yeah, unfortunately, he's forced into the gen setup that we have here, but we also see that we have broken out one of the very tight generators, so at least it's a little bit of more difficult 3-gen now for the killer. It is still something that you can work with, and I feel like it's very understandable that he is slugging here, because you need a couple of downs to somehow stop this survivor team.
And this generator already has so much progress right on it. We're going to be kicking it again. Nope. Yes, we're kicking it. We don't have eruption up, so we can't place that back on the generator, but these survivors, they're just showcasing how well they're playing the shape of the map, how they're applying pressure on each side. They did manage to break out those 3 and 4 gens, and even here, Excise is keeping such a healthy distance. No, this is Hardwell. Hardwell is keeping such a healthy distance away. It doesn't fall for any of these mind games. These survivors are playing so very well. Whistle kind of in a compromising spot. We have Excise here working this generator, and then we have 2 other survivors, Arima and Bubbo, that are uncalled for and are possibly doubling that generator that is all the way across the map. I wouldn't be too surprised if we saw it pop in the next couple seconds here. We're just playing these chases, but Ariandel is looking so good. They're winning 50-50s. They are splitting the map. They are putting the pressure on. Whistle will be getting this down right here, but it's too little too late, and he has adrenaline. He's just getting right back up off the ground. You can't get healed because you're broken, but that doesn't mean you can't get up from the dying state.
Wow. What we are seeing here on the side of Ariandel is insane, and he does get the stun as well. Excise absolutely cranking, even in the end game, making sure that the team members have the needed time to go for the exit doors. Unfortunate that he will go down right here now, and we have 2 survivors here as well that are not so happy about Excise being down onto the floor here. But if everything is going according to plan, we would have 4 stages, but it does seem like that Ariandel is not even trying to allow the 4 stages, and instead would love to put up even more. But I do think now, since Excise is going to be picked up and we are seeing the agitation coming in clutch as well. No, they don't take the 4 stages. Ray, they want less than 4 stages. They are going for it.
Will they be able to get it too? They are opening the doors and they are cleansing. There's 3 survivors out here who are healthy, and we also don't have too many pools of corruption, except Whistle is venturing a little bit far from the hook to try to grab it. Oh, they're just leaving. Carlo just left. He said, see ya. See ya later. He's not even gonna try. They were probably trying to get it before Whistle could get his pool of corruption, because it's very hard to save against that. But instead, they are going to just take the 4 stages to fresh. That is an incredible result to get against a Plague.
Insane game. Absolutely insane game. Even 4 stages. It doesn't even feel like a reward for Whistle. Usually you get 3 stages in the end game, and then you say, wow, this has really, really made the win condition for our team better by a big jump. And this is not even the case here. The fresh hook was basically necessary to prevent a catastrophe from happening. So absolutely insane what we have seen here. And since we're in a campfire chat now, we will go onto the second part of my list. And yeah, I'm abusing the breaks to give a big shout out to a few people today. And the next person that I have on my list is Kasi. Kasi is sitting in this VC right now, so I know that she has no chance to escape listening to my upcoming monologue. But Kasi and me are friends for a long time. I don't know how long exactly, even, because that Kasi was one of my first contacts in the DBD community, some of the first people where I considered myself really welcome and in really good hands, and where I knew that it's a person that is not judging you for anything, that is always trying to listen, trying to support, and has a lot of energy for friends as well. And this is something that has given everything that we were trying a huge safety. Whenever I was thinking about how DBE back then, Kasi was in DBE also forever, whenever there was a difficult situation or a difficult problem to solve, it was always easy to look at the people we have on the team and see that you have a rock standing there, and that was Kasi. And you knew that Kasi will be here if it's a rain, Kasi will be here if it's a thunderstorm, Kasi will be here if it turns out to all be a huge mistake and 5 million people standing in front of the DBDL headquarter that doesn't exist with their protest army. Kasi would leave the office last. Probably even after me. when I'm already escaping and hiding somewhere in the mountains, Kasi would still be in the office and handle it. And I would like to say thank you, not only in terms of DBE and in terms of DBDL for hosting together. I would also like to say thank you for the friendship we share. And today is a perfect day to touch on that and to exactly say thank you for these things. So Kasi, thank you so much. And since there's only 2 survivors ready, okay, nein, everyone deserves the needed time. I will not speed it up. I might have to, though. But yeah, we will put that to the side. So Kasi has received what I noted down here on my list. I almost couldn't read that one point because of my bad handwriting, but luckily I remembered without the handwriting. Okay, Ray. Back to business, because we're loading in, and we're loading into, I would say, I don't want to say a terrible win condition, but a very hard win condition. 4 stages on the Plague is something that can really quickly
turn into a sort of a disaster, especially because Plague is very, very good at camping. I talked earlier about how Huntress is good at camping, but wait till you see what Plague's got. Because if she can hook somebody right on top of a pool of corruption and keep everybody else in the trial sick, it's just basically impossible. It's really, really, really hard. So we have Bubbo taking the mantle for Ariandel versus the Trauma Team survivors. 4 stages, 2 fresh. He'll need to get I don't know, 4 stages, 3 fresh, which would be really weird. Or we could get 5 stages, which is a lot easier to ask for. 6 stages is honestly just a very, very good standard. If you play very safe, you can almost guarantee it sort of way. You get 1 survivor, you camp them to death, and then you get 1 more survivor in endgame. That can definitely happen. We'll have to see how Bobo is going to play it out. We are puking on the uncorrupted gens, a very classic Plague tactic that you would be crazy if you didn't do. We are actually seeing the exact same build that Whizzle used last game, so we'll have to see the difference. Did we see a survivor there? I don't believe Bobo did. And we're gonna try to catch up the survivors who are trying to possibly make the cross without getting spotted, or they're gonna try to stealth out corrupt. That is what the survivor team did last game, and it worked out very, very well for them. So we'll have to see if the survivors here can work with the same tactics.
Indeed, and we are trying to find a survivor early to at least make them surprised about their tactics not coming out. So
we're gonna go basement.
let's see what Babo is trying, and we are actually expecting someone inside of the basement. This is the difficult moment where Escape is going to have the heart rate increasing. Babo checking both lockers on the other side. He's coming over here, and we do need to make sure now that we are making it out of the basement. Babo will try to block the pathway and will try to make sure to get as much progress on the infection as possible. Escape will really try to go for the crouch checks and really trying to make sure to get out of the basement as quick as possible, but it will be the full infection coming out in a second. The crouch tech really, really coming in clutch here, and now we need to make sure that it's going to happen. Escape is out of the basement, but too late. Escape going onto the hook in the basement. Ray, this is a very rough start for the survivor team, and so bad considering this win condition.
This win condition, like what I said earlier, what you could do, you could just camp that first person to death and then get somebody in endgame, and Bobo is already set up for success. Do we have a very healthy 3-gen at this bottom side? We do have sort of one. It's not as tight as the one that Whizzle had last game, but honestly, Bobo could just sit right here and be totally content. The 3 survivors did already cross, and they are chunking out generators. They must have said, Escape is like, oh man, I'm getting found here in the basement. Guys, you need to cross right now and get on those generators, because we didn't have very much progress for me getting found in basement. And it seems that Bobo is definitely taking that tactic of just trying to confirm this death. He actually thinks there's another survivor already here in basement, which, you know, it happened once. It could happen again. First generator does come through. Escape, or I don't know who this person's name is. I don't know. But they are going to go into struggle. 3 gens do pop. That does give Bobo a hint on where the survivors have been and what they've been up to. They are trying to make it to this side of the map, maybe to try to break this 3-gen. They have such a tough win con to try to go for. They're definitely going to have to break this 3-gen if they want to win.
This is such a long to-do list as well that we have on the side of the survivors. There's Swatter, Escape, Autumn Sadness, and Granout. They basically need to play a perfect survivor game from now on, and this will only be possible if we somehow get this survivor out of the basement and if we are somewhat able to make a big turn here. But unfortunately, I don't think it's going to happen. Autumn Sadness and Granite are both infected already, so it would just take a little bit of puking to force them into the broken status effect. Swatter could rotate in, but even that could end in a trade. And then ultimately, you're just handing out additional stages here. So Escape will very likely die onto the hook, but this means, Ray, in a 3v1 scenario, we need 2 more gens and all survivors escaping. This is the necessity here for considering a win.
Yeah, and it's looking like that's gonna be a little tough. They didn't even break that 3-gen while that survivor died in basement. We do have a little bit of progress here, but Bubba's gonna go over there, kick it, and apply Eruption, meaning that if he gets another down, it's gonna explode. The survivors are definitely just gonna have to pull out some sort of miracle or take Bubbo on an insane 2-generator chase, and then also, while not giving another stage, because if you give 1 more stage, that's a tie. But if you give 2 more stages, then that's a win for Ariandel. So, no, That was a win for Ariandel. Sorry, I got mixed up a little bit. Bubbo is venturing very, very far. He's gonna go ahead and grab this corrupt one over here. He has 2 pools, but he's opting to grab the one on the very, very far side of the map, and then possibly try to sniff out a survivor. Are they working here on this generator too? Autumn was on this side. Grena was on this side. Do we have the last survivor? Do we have Swatter? I mean, they're hot on the trail of somebody. Even if you take this time to like overcommit to one survivor, it's really not a bad idea because you really just need to get somebody else up on the hook. Oh, me go for a puke right there. Somebody screams. We know that they were working on the generator with Eruption. We have their aura revealed. And instead of just trying to play for that pickup, we're actually going to try to go for the down on Autumn over here. Are we going to be able to get it? Yes, we are. That's 2 survivors already down. That is looking like this might be a, oh my God, if we find the last survivor as well, that is not looking too good. This might just end up being a 4K2.
Yeah, the Survivor team had to take a lot of risk here, and ultimately it then doesn't really matter if you're overstepping the win con by 1 hook stage or if you're getting 4K'd on 2 gens remaining. For this trial, for the upcoming trial, it does matter a lot because Team Trauma will stay on the Survivor side, and after getting 4K'd on 2 gens against the Plague here and Babbo being really, really dominant, this is something we have to say as well, we will basically have the same players facing each other, Babbo on the Dredge, Survivor team of Trauma on Midwich, and we all know how insane Babbo is on the Dredge. So Ray, I feel like this trial here with such a dominant Babbo 4K with 2 gens left onto Trauma is going to have an impact for the upcoming trial, and this impact is going to an advantage of Ariandel.
And we shouldn't even be taking that much time between trials because, like you said, it's going to be the same survivors. We just got to switch build, switch map, and switch killers, so it shouldn't take too long. This kind of result Bubbo got on these survivors is just so dominating. The survivors will have to try to clear their head, not let it affect us into the next match. I don't think the survivors know that they can attempt to Kobe on hook. Even if they Kobe, they could just stand underneath. So we're going to be sitting here for just a little bit longer and reflecting with just our thoughts. But we could talk about the upcoming trial, Bubbo being on the Dredge, going to Midwich. I am still so baffled at the fact that teams continue to pick this killer because it is such a difficult map to work with. Something that is very unique, and you don't have a lot of practice that carries over from other killers. So that might be why teams tend to pick this, because they said, hey, I'm going to practice this a lot more than the other side might. But man, we are seeing so many Dredge matches.
Yeah, Dredge is an insanely loved killer in comp recently, and Babbo, I would almost say, has made the Dredge famous, because at the very beginning, when it slowly started with the Dredge, then Babbo was already there and he was like, let's go, I will show you exactly how Dredge works. And since then there is a little bit of a hype around it, and Babbo will forever be the legend of the Dredges, for me at least, because he has shown us so much. Amazing trial, especially by Ariandel. Congratulations on taking that first set. So we are moving in the next campfire chat, which means that I can have my monologuing yapping session. Next person I have on my list is Savannah, and I have decided to put her on 3 because otherwise people say that I did it because in Germany we have a saying, the best comes last. And yeah, this will potentially be a more emotional speech, but nonetheless, I would really like to say something about her. Savannah is responsible for why I'm able to do what I do with such an energy and passion for 2 years now, because she is the absolute best when it comes to motivating people, when it comes to not leaving when there's a challenge ahead, when there is a difficult conversation ahead, when there is a disagreement ahead. You know, when you are in a volunteer-based org, obviously you always try to make everyone have the best experience and everyone always have very much sunshine on the sky. And the truth is, sometimes you need to have difficult conversations and you need to pick up on what is currently not going well inside of DBDL, what is currently need in improvement. Where do we maybe need to talk to someone outside of DBDL, and it will be a difficult topic for us. And having the encouragement and having the strength for doing that is not something that is just given by default. And DBDL can be very resource taking. You have heard it from Will earlier, and I don't think there's a reason to lie. And I think the entire staff team is with me on this. DBDL can be tiring. It can be tiring to sit hours every weekend together. It can be tiring sacrificing your free time, and you somehow need to recharge your battery afterwards. That can be through friends. That can be through an amazing community that is always telling us the best things and making us go on from weekend to weekend with such excitement. And it can also happen to some very special people. And Savannah is a person that doesn't realize how great she is. She does have a tendency to really be harsh on herself when she has absolutely no reason. And she does really, really sell herself too low and doesn't realize what she all has done. And this is besides the fact that we are engaged and that she's carrying me through daily life every single day. This also applies to DBDL. There is an endless resource of energy, an endless resource of positivity, and an endless push towards a target that waits at the horizon and that keeps us aiming and moving on time and time again. And now for everyone who hates romance and deep words, get your headphones and listen away. Savannah, I love you. I'm so thankful for everything you're doing for DBDL and for me personally. I couldn't do a lot of things that we are doing without you. And yeah, I hope you do realize how much you matter in this organization and how amazing you really are. I don't know how to finish this. There's no round outro from this where I can save myself. Yeah, business. We are loading in. Thank you, Rats, for saving me by allowing the players to hit ready.
Those were some wonderful words, Dyer. I'm sure if these people could speak now, they would also be thanking you for even just those lovely words of encouragement. But we will be loading in. Sorry, we don't get to hear you yap about that anymore. We will be loading into a fresh set of Ariandel staying on killer, Bubbo on the Dredge playing against the Trauma team of survivors. This is a low tier killer, so we are going to have to see them focus, lock in, and clear comps. That's what we're going to need from this game. And already we have such an interesting build. This is the first time seeing it. First time I'm seeing this particular build actually even used in a Dredge game. So we have Sloppy Butcher, classic. Hexarun, also a classic. But we've got Pentimento and Hex, Face the Darkness. Dyer, do you know what Face the Darkness does?
I do know what Face the Darkness does.
Oh, okay.
Face the Darkness is going to put us in this very, very unfortunate situation. Not only escape right here, but where you are constantly screaming when you are outside of the killer's terror radius. And this can give you some very, very valuable information towards the killer. It constantly gives you an idea where to check next. And even if the last audio clue was some seconds ago, you at least have an area that you can use for your future teleports. And we do see these teleports around here. Babu is known for his very quick and very aggressive teleports, trying to create a little bit of chaos on the Midwich Elementary School and then eventually striking, especially during the nightfall. So he's all setting up himself for exactly this. We do have one injury so far. The Survivor team is trying to make the best out of it and trying to deny that as much as they can, but so far it's looking really good here.
Bubbo does have Hex Runes, so he can just push these survivors off generators. They are screaming periodically, revealing their location. We're just hearing screams. We do see Grenout, who is cleansing a totem, but little do they know that will activate our 4th perk that they're not aware of just yet, which is Pentimento. These generators are regressing. We did have Hex Rune is the one that was cleansed. We still have Face the Darkness that is up. I believe, honestly, it might have been cleansed. I didn't hear. And it's not lit up, so I'm not sure. We do have a couple totems that can be lit up for Pentimento. The first one that gets lit up means generators are taking, I think, 30% longer to be completed. And the second one affects healing as well. So if those both are lit up, that is going to be so hard to get any sort of heals going, especially because we have Sloppy Butcher. And we have Autumn, who is running around here, trying not to get down, but finds themselves in a precarious situation where Bubba will be using the Dredge's power to get a down. Very, very well played. We do have the first generator getting done by Swatter over here. All the other survivors have taken the time and healed up through Sloppy Butcher. So we do have a little bit of generator progress that is coming out, but isn't enough. Our first generator comes with just one hook stage, one gen done. And we don't have Hex Rune up, but there we go. That's the first Pentimento totem lit. So now they're going to have to take the time to either go back there and cleanse that, or try to do the generators through the 30% reduction in speed. And we are going for the tunnel out strat. Our teleports are faster because we are in Nightfall. We'll have to see if we can get this tunnel out quickly, because these survivors are sitting on generators.
And this is the difficult part where your strategy of taking so many teleports and confusing the survivor team might reach the limit. Because if the survivor team is too quick to even allow this pressure to happen, then you are going to face the pressure, even though you're great on the teleports and you're maybe having a great plan in mind. We do see a second generator about of being completed, but unfortunately the hook being right next to it, so Grenout will be forced off. That is a setback and a somewhat penalty for the survivor team here, because Babu will be able to guard the generator and the hook stage right next to each other, which is always a really, really good setup for yourself. Kick on this generator as well. That has quite some progress. So Autumn Sadness chose a really, really bad location here to die on, giving Babu a huge advantage. And Ray, I honestly don't see any reason why Babu should leave here.
He heard you too, because look at him. He is sitting right here. He is in the middle of these two generators that had so much progress. See, even if, oh, he's just right there. Oh my God, he was just working on the generator right underneath Bubbo's nose, and he didn't even notice. We're gonna try to confirm right here a death, but no, there's two survivors. We're gonna seesaw a little bit, try not to give a tag, possibly try not to give her 1-for-1. Oh, and he goes for a swing, but it misses! And it's not gonna be a 1-for-1 just yet, because we don't want to give another down that's right here in the middle of this. So Bubbo knows that and is instead going to try to go for the tunnel out, except he teleports right on top of Autumn's face. Are we gonna be able to get to this pallet before we go down? Oh, and we go right through, and they're not underneath the pallet. There's no potential for a pallet save. We're gonna be taking this hook right here, and that will be Autumn leaving this trial. Good luck, have fun next game. We will be trying to get the rest of these survivors, except they are trying to bang out these generators that Autumn was sitting on top of. We get it? No, we let go the generator and it gives us the skill check. Bubba will be dry kicking this. There's no ruins, so we do have to put a regression event on there. And we're sitting on top of this generator as well that has so much progress. It's getting kicked, and you know what? As a bonus, we do have a totem down here that can be lit with Pentimento. It was cleansed earlier. This is where Hex faced the darkness. So now we've got that lit up 30% longer to do these generators. Are these survivors going to heal? Are they going to try to bang out more progress? We have Courtyard here a little bit over 50%. These survivors are, they're injured and they're going to base them. Don't you know the last time that happened, it didn't end up well. The survivors are just going to come down here, possibly because this is a very awkward spot to be caught out. And possibly Bubba won't be expecting it. He actually is just trying to make these generators right here regress, because a death at 3 generators is huge.
Really, really the chance here for a swing into both sides' advantage we might see a double down very soon due to the injured survivors that we have, or we are finding the reset without the... Oh, he is actually on that tail. He does realize that they were hiding in the basement. Trauma in the basement. That is a new love story in Season 9 that we have just unlocked. Escape and Granout just done with the reset and now injured again. Ray, all of this time that they have taken to move away from the generators is unfortunately not coming out. The Pentimento is still standing in the trial as well, so we have 20% of slower generators right here. Granout trying to hold W away from the killer, but he doesn't have the resources anymore to go for a longer chase. So we need to make sure that we are going for more safety on the survivor side from now on. We cannot have a double stack any longer, and we need to make sure that we are getting at least a 4th generator here for the win condition. Swatter will be in the next chase. He is currently healthy, so that is the chance to have a longer chase during the midsection here.
Skip went to go pick up Brenna from the ground, and we try to go for a little bit of pallet respect, but Bubbo is not having it. He is feeling it. He is locked in, and he is winning all of these chases, playing so very well. I know you were talking earlier about how he plays a mean dredge, but man, he plays a mean dredge. These survivors are just... They just are catching no breaks here. Tries to go for an aggressive swing through the pallet, but Swatter calls him out on it and drops the pallet just immediately. Trying to go for a little bit of play. Tries to walk through the remnant, but it doesn't count, and he gets a stun on the same side! And that will be Swatter going for this longer chase that we exactly needed. We did get the pickup. Greno is fully healed. Escape is fully healed. This is exactly what we needed. Swatter is showing up. He's him. It is taking this dredge on a walk, except he will be going down here, however, but just enough time for his teammates. Thank you so much for your service. And now we're back in the game. We still have so much generator progress to go through. These survivors have been caught out trying to cleanse the Pentimento totem, and that will be the next chase started.
Next chase indeed. Escape, the injured ace here. He has this pallet, and this pallet needs to absolutely do a lot of work. And is the mind game coming out in favor of Team Trauma? The first time the answer is yes. The second time the answer is no. Escape is going down onto the floor here, and this would have been very important to go on a longer run. Down here, unfortunately not quite able to do that. We have Swatter being reset, so back to fully healthy and being able to put pressure onto the generators. And we also see the vault right here back into the courtyard. Will we potentially see the IKEA loop right next to the tower? We do not just yet. Escape on the hook, 60 seconds away from elimination. This is definitely from the second hook stage, so definitely a little bit of time. They do go for the rescue instantly when the dredge is away. Ray, this is so intense right here because we need to make sure that we somehow get time on the survivor team for these gens, and Babo is not allowing it.
Oh, he is just pressuring. He is finding the survivors caught out, right hook after hook. It's taking so long for them to just reset. They need to heal through Sloppy Butcher. They need to try to get these generators. They did cleanse the Pentimento totem, so they can get generator progress, and they do have just a little bit right here from Grenout. Now we have the 2 other survivors who are injured as well. Are they going to take... Okay, Bobo. Goes for a swing, but you know what? Maybe his mouse hit his keyboard. I do that sometimes too. And Greno is now injured. We do have a little bit of progress. They are choosing to heal. They're not in basement this time, but they are near a safe pallet that they could probably use to prevent just another hit, just another down. We need just a little bit more time. We need to get at least 1 more generator done because a 4K1 is a hell of a lot better than a 4K2. And Bubbo is just completely laying on the pressure, trying to find these survivors. Little does he know they were right there. And if he waited just a couple more seconds to teleport, he would have possibly heard Ace crying out in that bathroom. But we're trying to find other survivors. We are in... Yes, we are in Nightfall, which means that if we teleport, the line from the locker we are in to the locker we are going to creates this area of where we can find survivors with their killer instinct, and we are right on top of Grenout, who will be injured and possibly going down. Bubbo is just laying that pressure on with these downs, and with just all this chase pressure, he is making it so very hard for these survivors to do anything. There's Grenout down again. He will be going up on the hook. Will Swatter and Escape have enough time to even just bang out another generator? There's barely any progress right here as well. We are just having to go through Sloppy Butcher, have to go through the unhooks, having to go through the chases. All of our good resources are just, they have been used up. There's not too much you can really do to prevent any kind of hits that comes through. Dredge has a little bit of an anti-loot power, so even though it does take him a little bit longer to get those hits are guaranteed regardless. We might be sitting here for just a little bit longer of a game while these survivors try to just get one more generator done.
I can only hope that they are getting this 4th generator, Ray, because 4K on one remaining generator is a really common win condition, I would say, on the Dredge. It happens a lot, and it is something that you can make possible, right? Having the chaos against the survivor team, being able to take over the dominant part and putting pressure on the survivors. This is something that can happen with the 4K2, and especially knowing Ariandel, since they have Bubbo on the killer side, they will be one hell of a survivor team against the Dredge. So getting this 4th generator done would be so important, and it does feel like Swatter is able to get it and will make a very, very important step right here towards the late mid-game of making themselves a better condition. It is going to come out 4th generator, and now Bubbo lost a little bit of time. He went over here to stop the generator. That didn't happen, and now the rescue basically happened for free behind his back. So not only the survivor team getting generator number 4, they have a little bit of wiggle room again for a potential reset here. So we are going down the hallway though, but a little bit of distance has already been taken by this survivor. With this comeback that we see here, and with this constant pressure that the survivors are putting up, they might even be able to complete all the gens. Ray, it's definitely possible.
It's looking a little bit tougher though, because Grenout did go to struggle. That means that this next hook will be a death for him. Bubba actually is not trusting it. He believes that there's enough generator progress that they could possibly get it done by the time he puts Grenout up on a hook. Although that generator has quite a bit of progress, that means that survivor must have been there trying to pressure it. Swatter and Escape, they're nowhere to be found. They're nowhere near this. Oh, never mind. There he is. A little bit of scratch marks does give away his position. Grenout is dead on hook, though. Bubbo is not straying too far from that slug, so he wants to take that person and place them on a hook, because a 2v1 is ridiculously hard to get another generator banged out in. This generator has half progress, and it has been kicked quite a few times. So even if it takes a couple more kicks, that could be close enough to the 8 mark where you're not allowed to damage a generator anymore. Swatter knows that as well, and he went and made it so it wasn't regressing anymore. Goes to lock this locker and will be hopping right back on. Escape possibly trying to get another generator across the map, but gives out a tag. That could be huge, because now that we are in danger of going down, we can't take the time to just sit there and reset. Bubbo is gonna go back to the generator as well, and a locked locker has to break out. Swatter was working on this, but it is not close enough. Swatter needs to not be found here to not give another tag. Kicks this generator. It's getting closer. The spikes are getting taller. Gets rid of the resources that could possibly delay a down. Any extra couple of seconds. Oh, we do see a little bit of killer instinct. We see the survivor going right back to the generator. That is Swatter hopping right back on there, breaking out through this locker. I can't believe that there's still more locks that are available. I feel like we've been teleporting so much. But Swatter is gone. He is nowhere to be found. Escape is somewhere else on the map, possibly still injured, maybe working on a generator. He did hop on this, gets off, and it does trigger a skill check. And we don't have that many resources. This room is a dead end. Even if he throws this pallet, he is just zoned. Yep, and Bubba will be playing that beautifully, taking the hit. And now we have Swatter, who's just left on the map all by himself, except Bubba teleports right on top of him. This is going to secure the 4K1.
Wow. One thing I would really like to point out is, despite the difficult early game where it looked very chaotic on the side of Trauma, they really pulled together and they were actually making multiple comebacks and sticking up with the pressure that Babo was trying to put on them, bringing it ultimately into the one generator win condition that is relatively, as we said, relatively standard almost on the Dredge. It does happen a lot in Season 9, and it's definitely something that Trauma's killer can make work as well. Therefore, big shout out for their constant fighting and trying and going for that. We will now see a little bit of a slug party here because Escape needs to bleed out early because we don't want to risk not finding him and then potentially having a hatch escape right here. But Ray, looking on to the next trial, maybe we have a 4K1 win condition of a tie condition, so all gens for the survivor team sounds easy, but as we pointed out in Season 9, very, very often Dredge being able to 4K on one generator remaining. How do you play this upcoming trial? If you are Ariandel on the survivor side, do you play careful or do you play aggressive efficient?
You know what? I don't really have a lot of personal experience when it comes to Dredge sets. I'm not too entirely sure how, because if you play too careful, you don't get the generator progress that you want, right? If you try to stealth out too early in the game, you don't have enough progress as somebody gets caught out of position, right? And if you try to play more aggressive, well, then you're putting yourself up to making mistakes, and you are possibly trying to make it so that you get like generator progress for downs happening, but you could put yourself in a compromising position. Look at this. They all crawl. That means that we can pick up survivors. They want to go to the next trial. How lovely. Because you know that if you do get an escape through the hatch, that does put you in a position to lose a tie. So the survivors are saying, hey man, let's just go next. We don't want to sit here and wait for the bleed out. Thank you so much. You guys are the best. So the next game, in order to win, they have to 4K too. That's going to be a little difficult, but not unheard of. That can happen in a Dredge set.
I love that as well. That deserves a big shout out for going there, not taking the DC, because then they wouldn't play the next trial, that's for sure. But coming together and saying like, just take it, let's go next. Really, really nice move. Big shout out to our survivor team. Right there. And after a trial comes the yapping session, at least on the anniversary stream, when we're having 6 years of DBDL. And the next person that I have here on this list, that are two people that are not familiar for a lot of people potentially when you do not know them through DBDL. I would like to take these two people together because I met them in somewhat the same circumstance, have spent a lot of time with them in the same circumstance, and they both hold a very, very close position to me or place in my heart. And these two people are Mordo and Daphne. Mordo and Daphne are two players from very old team Colt. So I played with them for a couple of months together. With Daphne, I share a very long, very close friendship. Daphne and me were hosting in Dead by Esports together. We were basically the two admins running it together. And we were going through a lot. And back then, comp DBD had to justify itself a lot more. Now we are in a luxury position where the developers are retweeting our grand final tweet, where the developers are sponsoring us with iridescent charts, and recently where DBDL is mentioned in the player satisfaction survey. It is a different time than 3 years ago. 3 years ago, comp DBD was so small that the hate, the frustration, and the denial against this community was so much harder, and Daphne and me were standing together against that. And that has really, really created a deep bond all the way until today, even though she has nothing to do with comp anymore. She doesn't host anymore. She doesn't watch comp. She doesn't play comp. But this is a bond that doesn't fade. And Mordo is a person, one of the very few DBD people that I've met in person. We were spending some very nice days in Birmingham. An absolute fantastic guy who is having a lot of passion and a lot of energy, and also someone who is really able to lighten up your day, brighten up your day, and who has a very, very easy look on things. When they are very complicated, then Mordo uses this quote that I really, really love, and he always says, "Nah, we're chilling." And this is something that has often made me go into a talk with Mordo where I brought in some frustration or some worries or some, we will not make that successfully, and coming out with a, you are chilling. And this is the energy and the effect Mordo had. And Mordo is still in comp, and Mordo is still playing a lot of DBD. And I have to say thank you to these two, Mordo and Daphne, for carrying me a lot, for giving me a lot of energy, and ultimately never asking for anything back. So thank you to these two. And I do actually have to speed it up because we are potentially reaching the end of this best of 3. So I have to go into one other person that I really wanted to point out here. And that is another OG. And that is Flixie. She cannot be around today, unfortunately, because she's in America. She said she will watch the VOD, so maybe she will find the words that I'm saying here right now. But Flixie was also someone who came into the Wolfpack, the community back then that we had at the beginning, and has been around for multiple years now. And not only in that set community, also in Dead by Esports and in DBDL, and has always helped with finding new project, going into new ideas, improving the organization as much as we could, unconditionally standing with us. Doesn't matter how much critique, doesn't matter how much hate, how much protest we received. For Flixie, it was always clear, these are my people, this is my team, and I'm going to stand with this team. And this strength, some would call it loyalty. I don't like the term loyalty because for me there's always an expectation in the secondary level of the term loyalty. No, this strength to say, this is me, this is what I defend, and this is what I want, and then sticking to it, that other people can rely on it. This strength is something that I would like to honor today and shout out today and give a big thank you for, because that is something that you don't find really, really often. And now we are loading in, so it can be a 2-0 now, right? There's only 1.5 additional people.
What?
It can be a 2-0 now because I managed to squish in 2 people in this break. So now they can go into a 2-0. Otherwise, I would have needed the tiebreaker, but now we're chilling.
Okay, I see.
Sorry, what... Yeah, how do we play this upcoming trial?
Okay.
What do you expect from the killer? We talked about the survivor team, but now looking onto the killer, will we see something crazy like teleports after teleports like Babu used to do? Will we try to tunnel out one survivor as quick as we can? What do you expect from the killer side?
I mean, for the killer side, they're gonna need to pop off because they're gonna need a 4K2 to win. Enlighten me, what happens if they tie the set 4K1? Do we go to the next set?
Yes.
Okay, so we go to the next set, play that set, and then possibly come back to this set. Okay, so we need to, we need to like possibly get a 4K2. But if I'm playing in a set like this with this killer, 4K1 I would be absolutely happy with, because a 4K2 can be really, really difficult, especially because I know we've talked about this before, but you mentioned that Russian teams are very, very well known for their organization and their ability to play on indoor maps. So this could be a little bit more difficult for Whistle to pull out this sort of win con. We do have Sloppy Butcher, Ruin, Undying, Pentimento, which could be a very, very good hit and run sort of build. Something that we did see Bubbo do last game, but he had a little bit of different perk setup, but possibly the same idea. Whistle is teleporting around. You do charge Nightfall faster while you are inside lockers. We have evidence of survivors here too. Come on, break the lock! Jeez, that one was a little bit tougher. And we do have a bit of generator progress right here, meaning that there is evidence of survivors. Yes, Arima is found out, but is not in a position like last game. We did have an early hit that was just incredibly good for Bubbo. These survivors are going to have to try to play sort of aggressive with chasing David around here. We did have 3 survivors already hopping on generators. They're going to try to just bang out as much progress as possible. A little bit of undying value right here, underrated. But the survivors are doing a very good job of not putting themselves in any sort of compromising positions. You don't want to give that first hit. You don't want Nightfall to start charging. And the survivors know exactly what they're doing. You saw Hardwell, he was just standing there, trying to get eyes on the killer, try to leading them on a little bit of a chase. Whistle does have to try to get an early hit like this. The survivors, they're already banging out generators. This is looking really good for them.
They are indeed getting their hands onto the gens here, and so far Ariandel is showing us what it looks like on the survivor side when you have an experienced dredge like Bubbo on your team. They are playing this really, really strong. They look really, really confident. Hartwell now eventually taking a hit here, but also being able to make sure that the hit is not going to end in the down, and even with the teleport, anticipating perfectly where the killer would come from and then taking the correct exit from there. Reaching the next pallet as well. We will be forced into the mind game here, and there's not much you can do on a pallet like this if you have an experienced killer, but the punishment will be at least 1 generator for this down. 2 generators even. Ariandel is not joking at all, and they are going to take a very, very deserved good start into this trial.
Yep, a good start indeed. There is that second generator that's coming out. We do have Pentimento that is available to be used, but the survivors have not cleansed the totems. Ruin and Undying are still up. Perks that unfortunately don't get value unless you were pressuring the entire map. That's an incredibly early save. These survivors seeming to put themselves in a position where they are feeling very confident that Hardwell can take the chase and not be tunneled out too quickly. We don't want Whistle pressuring the map with Ruin, making them get off generators and giving them a ton of progress. Whistle does teleport, possibly trying to find out their tunnel. We do spot David, but he's not the tunnel out. He could be a prime target for a hit. We are going into this room that does have a pallet that is still available, trying to play out the Dredge's teleport power. Oh, right into it, and we'll be taking a tag for free. Arima running around, trying not to get this down early enough as well. But are we going to be teleporting? Oh my god, we actually did teleport. Trying to cut off Arima from going down the steps. Hardwell is getting reset. He is the tunnel out target per se, but he only has 1 stage. So the survivors are taking it a little bit slower. They are sitting in a really good position. We do have a bit of generator progress right here, but Whistle is pushing them off of it, trying to get another tag. Are we going to be able to get it with this teleport? Playing very, very patiently, very, very patient. Are we going to get the hit right here? Yes, we are. We are also on same ping, so no Pocos hits, no crazy shenanigans through these pallets. We do have a good connection. We are looking for more survivors, and we do find one. We're out right here. The survivors are now 3 injured, and that is our tunnel out target. Whistle is beelining right after him. And will we be able to get this down in a timely manner? We need to see a little bit more of chase happening from these survivors. There are 2 injured, and that could potentially snowball if Whistle is able to pressure them in a very, very good way. We're playing out this tile right here. Are we gonna be able to get hit? Oh, and we're gonna run all the way to this bathroom side that does have a safe pallet. Whistle knows this and is trying to outplay it. Oh, and do we get this hit? Yes, we do! But another generator gets done, and that actually is insane. Now we're in Tycon area.
Tycon area with 1 hook stage, Ray. This is the difficulty. We have 11 stages, now 10 stages away from what we need, and this is really, really rough. Trauma must feel the pressure on their shoulders here, and it's so tricky now to make it away from there. Arima is the chance here. It's an injured survivor, not able to go for such a long chase potentially. This would be really good if you could slug that survivor, but on the other hand, Whistle needs to stop the unhook from happening. He wants to take more pressure. Whistle basically has to be at 5 locations on the Midwich Elementary School at the same time, and this is the really, really rough task that Whistle has on his hands right now. Hartwell is 20 seconds away from the elimination. Obviously, the 3v1 scenario would be the dream for Whistle, but the survivors might punish that by just co-oping on another generator. We have a beautiful kind of 3-gen right here, because as a Dredge, you don't worry too much about finding the staircase, as you can just teleport. So Ray, the chance is there for Whistle. He definitely has the setup that is needed, but we need a couple of downs, I feel like, to really bring this plan into a form.
It could happen. It could potentially possibly happen, because we do have 3 survivors that are injured and able to get slugged. Hex Ruin showcasing its in-game potential, reducing that generator every time that they get off of it. Goes for a spicy little swing right there, but David does hold W and is able to get away. We're trying to go for just more downs. We need more pressure, more downs. We don't have time to hook. No, but the survivors do have time to heal. They know that they are in an incredibly good position, and they are playing accordingly. They're actually really close to the slug, so that will be unfortunate for Whistle when they're able to go over there and pick up Arima. We do see another survivor who's out there just chilling. They don't have to play that aggressive. They can just slowly try to bang out these generators. The Hex Ruin is still up, and they could take the time to go and cleanse the totems, especially because they're nowhere near this 3-gen. But why would they when they have so much progress right here? These generators are so very close. That is an incredible 3-gen. But there are 4 survivors alive, and Dredge is sort of an M1 killer, so it could be very difficult to try to play this to prevent any more generators from getting done. Excise will be giving attack. Sloppy Butcher hit. Hardwill and Bubbo are still out there healthy. We don't know if they're taking the time to reset survivors. Oh, they're not! And they get the last generator done! This is such a showcase of how well Ariandel is playing. Their survivors are just insanely organized and playing so very well.
Yeah. It is so insane what Ariandel has put up here today, and honestly, if you are asking me, Ariandel is a team that is not only going very, very clearly into the playoffs, Ariandel is also a team that has a realistic chance to take this entire tournament. Ariandel with this win today is also guaranteed in the playoffs. There's nothing that can stop Ariandel anymore, so we have 3 teams that are in the playoffs now: Eternal, Elysium, and Ariandel. And this also means that between Trauma and Calamity, it will be an ultimate showdown who's going into the playoffs. It will be the ultimate showdown in the upcoming week. And now, ladies and gentlemen, I will tell you something very, very crazy. Trauma and Calamity are playing against each other next weekend. So it's not about if we win and someone else loses, then it is a direct matchup between Calamity and Trauma. If Trauma wins, Trauma is in the playoffs. If Calamity wins, Calamity is in the playoffs. And honestly, could the main season come into a more exciting end? The answer is no. At the same time, we have Elysium and Eternal playing against each other, and they both want to reach number 1 because the team that is coming out first gets an advantage and gets to pick the opponent for the playoffs. So this is something that really matters. And if Eternal wins against Elysium, they are first. If Elysium wins against Eternal, they are first. So it is incredible what we have in week number 9.